This footage we're just about to play shows one man running away from the crowd holding a large knife while ushering others to move away from the scene.
Joining us now is Stephen Drill, Europe correspondent for News Corp. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. It's about 8 p.m. where you are, and I believe that you're in lockdown and you have a view of the bridge. Can you tell us what you're seeing?
Yeah, we've just actually been allowed out after about 5 hours, so we're out on the streets now, but we've been watching the whole thing unfold. We saw the police and the helicopters are there for quite a number of hours, actually, earlier today. They were trying to work out exactly what had happened, and just about half an hour ago, the police put up a tent over the body, and there was forensic pathologists there who were going through their jobs to try and work out exactly what went wrong. But it has been an extraordinary police presence on London Bridge this afternoon, and also we've just seen even areas still about 400 or 500 metres away from the bridge have been locked down. There's police everywhere. There are police cars, there are specialist operations police, and there are also sniffer dogs, because there was a real fear that this terrorist may have also had a bomb or planted something nearby.
Yeah, we know that the offender has been shot by police, shot dead, and there are 2 members of the public who have passed away. Can you explain that scene or that situation 5 and a bit hours ago when it's just started?
So it's actually, what's come out now is that an attack started in Fishmongers Hall, which is an historic building just next to London Bridge on the north side. And something's happened in there. One reporter said that it's been a man who stabbed workmates or workers, and then has come out and gone onto the bridge. But what has actually happened, he's been chased by people from that hall, and they've gone with fire extinguishers. They were spraying him with a fire extinguisher. There was also a man with a large stick who was beating him, and they managed to pin him to the ground. At least 4, possibly 5 people managed to pin this guy down while police were responding, and then the police have actually told them to leave because they think thought he had a bomb, and that was moments before they shot him.
Now, a few weeks ago, Stephen, they actually lowered the terror threat where you are from severe to substantially lower since August of 2014. How do you think this is going to reflect on Boris Johnson?
Well, I mean, that he would have to rely on his security advisors and the authorities in MI6 for what those rulings would be. So we don't want him to be interfering in security for everything. But I think in some ways the Tories and Boris Johnson may be stronger on law and order than the Labor Party. Now, we've got to think, I don't know how closely you guys have been following it, but last week Jeremy Corbyn was accused of being a terrorist sympathiser by a punter up in Scotland, and he has been has been accused rather of being sympathetic to terrorist causes over the years. So I think in some ways politically this may be sort of work in Johnson's favour, but I think at the moment that all those policies have been thrown out the window because that's been suspended, all the campaigning, while Britain gets a grip on another terror attack also on London Bridge. Oh yeah, exactly, and we're just hours on from it. What was it like? What was the feel in your office like? Because being where you were and being locked down for that amount of time. It was really strange because we were, your first thought is to go out and get out in the street and try and talk to people and work out what's actually happened. But we weren't allowed out of the building, so we do have the canteen on the 14th floor, and you had quite a good view of the bridge, and there were photographers taking photographs. Everyone was really calm, surprisingly. Work actually put on an extra meal for us, which was very kind, because there was quite a lot of people who were hanging around, and it was just after 7:30 that people were allowed out of the building. So it's very strange, but I suppose there's still that British spirit of the blitz and getting on with it, and it is a newsroom of the Times and the Sun and also the Wall Street Journal, so there's a lot of people who are just working and doing their jobs as well. Yeah, we're seeing some vision of a lot of people there at the moment, Stephen, and it was, a really quick response from the police, wasn't it? I believe it was a senior police officer that took charge there, but yes, just amazingly how quick they are to respond in these unfortunate situations. Yeah, they were in the right spots. And there was a large inquest into the London Bridge attacks in 2017 earlier this year. There was quite a lot of criticism, not of the police, but then of the paramedics' response time. So in this occasion, they've been really on the spot, and there was a huge number of police, and also the areas that were locked down. All the buses on the bridge were also locked down. And what we can't work out yet is there was a white truck which has gone and turned on the bridge. Now the police, there was footage of that actually then approaching that truck, but it's still unclear if there was another attacker or if there's any other link to that. So I think that'll play out in the next few hours.
Stephen, when we came on air, it was the news that the offender had been killed, but there were people injured. And we now know that there are 2 members of the public that are deceased. What is the feel on the ground there? Like there are other people in hospital. Do we expect it to rise?
Well, that's hard to say. It was a knife that was used rather than a gun, so there's more chance of people surviving because of the weapon being used. But I mean, I spoke to a hotel worker who was in the Shard, which is that iconic building overlooking London, the tallest building in London, and she was really upset. She saw the body of the terrorist from her restaurant, and people were she was quite shaken and devastated having a cigarette outside the front of the office. And normally this area is quite busy, but there's only a handful of people around here at the moment. So yeah, Friday night at London Bridge Station normally it's heating, but you can sort of swing a cat at the moment.
Yeah, and certainly, in the lead up to Christmas and obviously the election, just a very, very busy time of year. And as you mentioned, Friday afternoon, we saw a lot of people from the public sending in their social media videos as well, and just getting some really graphic shots there.
Well, what's extraordinary about this, and I've covered sadly quite a number of terrorist attacks in Australia as well now, and the amount of footage that comes out and the angles that you have, on the Sun's website, there's about 4 different angles compiled into the one shot of 2 minutes, and there's really clear images of exactly what happened, and it is quite graphic. There's also clear images of some of the heroes who went in and tried to disarm the man, and there's one guy, a businessman, he looks in about his late 30s, who he actually managed to get the knife off the terrorist. And there's a report from a witness in the Mirror saying that he actually jumped across the barrier and across the road to actually intervene. Now, this is all the while where this terrorist had what appeared to be a bomb on his chest. So it's very, very brave, and putting those people, their lives at risk, not just from the knife attack, but also from the bomb, if they were to believe it was real.
Yeah, and we seem to notice a change in mentality, don't we, in and around these terrorist attacks. Sadly, we've seen a number right around the world. Here in Sydney, of course, with Man Monis and that the vest that he supposedly had on. People are just are acting first rather than sort of taking into consideration that kind of thing because they've seen it happen before.
Yeah, I think that is a big difference, and I don't think anyone wants further loss of life, and I think people are a bit angry. There's a lot of people who are really upset about the London Bridge terror attacks, and I think people are prepared for it. Even with Burton in Sydney recently, I think that footage won a Walker Award last night of the guys who came down from their office building in Sydney and actually tackled that bloke and took the knife off him. So people seem to sadly know how to react in these situations now. They've become so common.
Yeah, and as you said before, Stephen, the bravery of so many people just jumping in there and forgetting about their own personal well-being and helping others. And when you do kind of compare it to 2017, I mean, since then, of course, they've put those concrete bollards in place. You did mention a white truck, still getting some more information on that. But, yeah, thankfully, I guess a little bit of better news is the structure and what they've been doing in terms of those bollards.
Well, there was big criticism of that in the inquest, that those bollards weren't put in place after an attack at Westminster earlier. So it had been a consideration. So the other thing is, London traffic's so bad that it is difficult to go on mount curbs or even get out of the traffic. So there's still quite a number of buses on the bridge, even though a lot of the cars have gone. So it may have also been the traffic that helped stop any sort of ramming incidents. But again, we're still not clear on exactly what if any, involvement that white truck had. But it's just really odd. I've sat there and looked at it for the last 5 hours and gone, why have you tried to turn around a sort of, I don't think it's a B-double, forgive my ignorance of trucks, but it's big. It's like a supermarket delivery truck. Why would you be turning that around on London Bridge and actually going over a curb or a raised pavement? So it just doesn't make sense if it wasn't. Yeah, it's a very strange coincidence, rather, if it wasn't involved.
Yeah, it lends to that suggestion that there's more than one, doesn't it? That he wasn't just acting as a lone wolf.
Yeah, that is really strange. I mean, we don't know. It was actually in a workplace where the first start of the attack happened, so we don't know if it's a worker who's gone rogue and also has some sort of Islamic or terrorist intent. So it is too early to go, and we've literally just been let out of the building a couple of minutes ago. So I'm sure that will unfold further, and the body of the man, the terrorist, is still there on the bridge and is being photographed by police as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. And the police didn't muck around. As soon as they cleared those that so bravely intervened, they shot the offender, and he was the first one to die. And as you say, the scene's still very much active in the sense of emergency services everywhere.